This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hayes Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts, ownership, or management. And now, on with the show.
All right. Hello, America, family, friends, and everybody around the world. We are back with the part two with Ed Schauer on the Craig L. Hayes Show. And we are on the 13th of January. We're still in Elvis Presley's dressing room here in the International Theater at the Westgate Hotel. And so glad we're doing this. And we're going to continue talking to Ed Schauer about how he got into showbiz, because he touched on it lightly, but we really didn't get into how he got into it and what made him decide, I guess I could go make a living being a stagehand, whatever that is, So, Ed, we're going to continue on. So we left off you building prisons all around the country, basically, and we'll move on from there.
All right, well, like I say, I was in Blythe, and when the job finished up, the new wife and I decided to come up here to Las Vegas because there was a lot of building going on, and like I said earlier, I went to the Union Hall, the ironworkers, and was having a hard time getting a call out because all the local ironworkers get called out first. And so I was like 10 months on unemployment, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, this outfit with stagehands, which I never even heard of, called the Ironworkers Local looking for welders. And so the BA there at the Ironworkers called me in the office and said, hey, it doesn't pay as much, but it'll get you some road money to get you back up to San Francisco local, where that was my home local. And so I went over there to the Stagehands Union and explained to them where I was coming from and why, and they sent me over here to the Las Vegas Hilton at the time, and for loading in the Starlight Express show, and I had no clue about anything as far as stagehands go. They first told me, well, go down stage left, and I looked at the guy like, well, where's that? You point where you want me to go.
Yeah, don't use them fancy words.
Yeah, and so, I was a little confused, but, and then so I was, welding and fabricating all these skate ramps and what have you for it, and learning as I go, and, I didn't know anything about any stagehand work at all. Didn't even know how to spell it, per se, and so we were working 7/16s for 3.5 months, so I was making tons of money, but no sleep.
Yeah, that's brutal. People don't realize that's just brutal. That's 16-hour days of work, not including the breaks, in between, because you have breaks every 5 hours. You have to take a meal break. And that's not including driving home, trying to get a nap. So when you're all done, you're probably about 4 hours is what you're getting a night.
Yep, sleep, yep.
And you're exhausted all the time.
Yeah, each day it gets worse, yeah.
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 But you look at your paycheck at the end of the week and you go, that's not a bad paycheck.
Yeah, no, I was making a lot more money than I was as an iron worker, but I was only working 40 hours a week there. But so anyway, so when that was done, I didn't belong to the stagehand union, so I went back to the Ironworkers Local. And then when the show started, and then I was called back in to repair from the skaters doing flips and breaking the stage. So came in after the shows, working midnight till 8 in the morning, and underneath the stage, reinforcing places that need be. And all these illuminators were underneath for the show, so it was probably 130 degrees underneath there.
Yeah.
It was hot, because they did 2 shows, so it was interesting. And we had to take some of the floor lights out, so I would give measurements to somebody up on top stage to cut the steel the length I wanted, and they hand it down through that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting, and So that's basically how I.
Yeah, and that's where I met you because I had been hired on as the new head carpenter here and walked into this mess.
Yeah, it was.
You know, a bunch of characters on that show.
Oh boy.
Gee whiz. And yeah, I met you, and I see Tom Wright was
Right.
on it, and
Yep.
and a couple other guys were on there, and you know, and people that were doing the shows were starting to look at other places. They were tired of doing the show. That it had run almost a year or something like that at that point, and so I was starting to look around for who can I start having replace this guy, and John Harrington, the guy that was the Troika guy that was in charge, Johnny Angel, that's his name. Wasn't he a great guy? He was
Yeah.
one of the nicest guys, man.
Nice guy. Yep.
And he was in charge of all the refurb and to make sure it was up to actors' equity and all that other standards. So, it was safe. And then so I had to talk to him and say which of these guys when this is all done, would you suggest I drag in with me? And he pointed at you and Tom Wright. So those two guys there, those are the good ones. I was like, oh, keep that in mind. And it wasn't too much longer that that batch of work, the restructuring, strengthening, and just ran out and so drug you into the mess around here. Did you start with me or did you go with Hank Cross and over to the Sands? See, I was trying to remember the other day.
I was here for a while first,
Okay.
and then Hank and I asked you, because I didn't want to get run off here or anything. So, but Hank had a 6 months worth of work over there, and you said, go ahead and take it." So I
that's
worked
right.
over there.
I said, yeah, because there'll be more work here later. So
Yeah, and
grab
then
that. And,
when that was done, then I came back.
Yep. Yeah, now I remember. I was trying to remember, you try to remember all this stuff with each person that's been through this place, and it's like you kind of get foggy on all the people that have,
Oh yeah.
the revolving door on this stage that has worked here, But Hank, that's a guy.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what's ever happened to him. I always ask around and find out. It's
I
just
don't
thinking
know,
about
yeah.
him, but
Yeah, the one time we had a laugh about old Hank when Starlight would have sometimes 2 shows and sometimes one, and Hank was up top for the elevator coming in, and he was it was one show night, so we all locked it up and went home, and Hank was still up there reading his book. He thought it was a 2-show night.
yeah. And it wasn't one of those things where he was up there for 15 minutes. He was like an hour, and all of a sudden he's like, "It's really quiet around here."
Kind of dark and quiet.
You'd think we'd start the show by now. What's this? And the funny part about that, Ed, was, when you do stuff like that as a stagehand, you usually keep it to yourself.
Yeah, you don't tell me.
But he went on and told everybody.
Yeah, that was the funny part.
Hey, you know what I did last night? Oh, Hank, why do you tell people?
It was funny.
I was up there just hanging out. Yeah, that was quite the experience. So basically, you worked around with me on Starlight for almost 2-3 years. That
Yeah.
last couple of 3 years, and that was. And I tell people that you would do the shows. You do 10 shows a week plus maintenance plus fixing things, and that didn't include repairs.
No.
Because how many times a week did we take sections of that stage, rip it out, repair it? Because the skaters are jumping around, they're jumping off of levels, and punching holes in the deck. Just punch right through it with all those skates and stuff. And it's like, oh crap, another section we got to go pull out. And it was like, how fast can we rip a section out, weld a new section in, paint it, seal it, and then be on for the next night for a show.
Yep.
Most of the time, we'd be there from 10, 11 at night, clear until the next morning,
Waiting for the scenic artist to.
Yeah, to do its thing and paint it, and then, whew, the slapping paint brushes, but that show was nothing but work.
Oh boy, yeah.
Oh,
A lot of maintenance.
just working nonstop.
Yeah, even though up there, instead of the fly rail being it was all automated, which was back then was kind of new.
Yeah.
The computers were big and all that up there, and instead of the pulling the ropes is
everything ran off of winches and
Yeah.
and all the other. It was a pretty cool setup, I have to admit.
Yeah, it worked pretty good.
And then Starlight left, and they put in a flat stage, and then man, we did a lot of work after that, just trying to put it back to kind of a showroom.
Yeah.
A little bit to where you could do some shows, but Don Toto's had his massive truss up there, and he would always get more lights and say, "Can you guys put a bar up here, a bar out there?"
Oh yeah. Did a lot of welding up there too.
Boy, yeah, we never stopped building. You and I just never stopped. It was like every week it was like, well, what are you going to build this week?
Yeah.
It's
I remember a couple times it was kind of funny. We go out on the loading dock to build something, and one time you and I went out there to build a cabinet or something. We ended up sweeping up sawdust. And we both kind of laughed at that one. So, well, we're pretty good at making sawdust.
yeah, yeah. And it's that old joke. Hey, what are you guys building? Sawdust. Well, yeah, what's it going to be? Well, pretty much sawdust right now. This router's been running for a long time, and we haven't got it we haven't figured this last part out. And
Yeah, that was funny. It was good old times.
yeah, I know.
Yeah, sweep up our project, and maybe tomorrow we'll do better.
Yeah, we'll try this other project instead. Yeah, so we did a lot of projects doing that, and all those risers. It's like you and I took that walkthrough up there, and it was like you and I are just like everywhere. there.
Oh yeah,
It's that room is nothing but you and I and everything we've built and stuff like that. And it's gonna be like that until they implode this place. 20 years down the road or whatever.
Yep.
It's like we're gonna be here forever. For
Just
a long time.
a lot of work out there. Yeah, all the risers we built and everything.
Yeah. And so then after, let's see, Starlight went out in 98, January of 98. We did that, what was that show? Oak Ridge. We did the Oak Ridge Boys show. That was the last one we did with the old Starlight stage.
Yep, we had the circular.
Yeah.
Well, we have like 58 bands or something.
Yeah, in what, a couple weeks or in a month we had, it was like 3 weeks we did like 60 acts plus Oak Ridge did there. It was nonstop. That was a lot of work on that one.
Oh boy, was it!
And then the flat stage came in. We got kicked out of here for 3 weeks, a month, whatever that was.
Yep.
And we came back and put it back together so we could do some shows and that's when it really got busy. That's when Foster Wilston was running things and said, "Hey, remember that he took us all up to Benihana to have dinner one night and said, you guys ready to get busy?" And I was like, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. And he started laying out what we were going to do. And I'm like, first I was like, this is cool. Then I saw dollar signs in my eyes, it was like, we're going to make so much this year. And we did, man. We made a lot that year.
There was one year that you and I had 19 days off all year.
Yeah, total.
Total.
That was with any vacation, whatever you took.
Anything.
You had 19 days,
Yeah, you and I had 19 days off one year. Yeah.
We just never stopped. And,
Yep.
we would do, NFR, all those big acts, Brooks and Dunn, all them, and then we'd roll right into CES, and then into Wheel of Fortune, and that was like January.
Yeah.
From middle of December to the end of January. That was it. That's all we did in that, and we were here 7 days a week, 12 hours a day minimum.
Well, the one day at CES and Bill Gates and everybody were here, and I think we worked 22 hours straight, 2 hours off, and 18 back.
Yeah.
And we slept on backstage or
Yeah,
rest.
right in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this in Elvis's dressing room, we brought in all those cots from housekeeping, and all the security comes in here, looks in here, and goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
what's going on here?"
Brought your toothbrush in and a couple pairs of socks, and
And it's like, keep going.
away you went. Yeah.
The life of a stagehand. Didn't have to put up that much with iron workers, did you?
No. Usually, if you got 8 hours was good.
Yeah.
That was a good job. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot
not
of
too much overtime as an iron worker, but boy, you can get a lot of overtime as a stagehand.
yeah, and you got to do some pretty good shows. I mean, we all did, but you know, you go from paying to go see a show to getting paid to be in the work of the show, and that was always the cool part about being a stagehand.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah, there were so many, in 17, 18 years that I was a stagehand. Yeah. I can't remember all the people I got to see and work for. Pretty interesting.
Well, I will say one thing about it, and when people talk to me about the years, I say, well, the best fabricator was Ed Schauer when we were building everything, you and I. I mean, Randy Cardinal was really good too, but yes. Randy wasn't here very long. He was only here for 6 months or something like that, 8 months.
Yep.
He was an amazing fabricator too. But,
oh, yeah. Yep.
But you decided to keep hanging out for some reason, and
I liked it.
Yeah, and keep working and doing the thing, and yeah. So then we get closer to about 2004, and some things are going to change in the room again. The room has been a certain way for a certain amount of time, and it's been nice, but it's about to take on a huge transformation. We were going to gut the room completely, basically, and put in Barry Manilow's show.
Yeah.
So the thing I remember about that is we had the crew, we had the audio crew, you and I were here, and Carl and the electric and everybody. And of course, I for weeks and months before that, I'd been in all these meetings with Barry's people, basically, and what was going to happen and what it was. But I was told I couldn't talk to anybody, and so I had to go to Don, and I had to go to people and say, okay, if we have an act called Act X coming in, what's it going to take all of this out? And, well, who is it? I can't tell you who it is, but if we have Act X, a couple of guys got really upset that I wouldn't tell who, but I was told I couldn't talk about it,
Yeah.
So I had to make all these plans without telling anybody who it was, and just here's a make-believe act coming in,
Right.
And what's it going to take? And boy, did that party begin. Whew, that was...
Oh, yeah. Well, I took your place during the day with Sheena Easton, yeah. And you were working nights, taking down all the truss and at night crew.
Yeah.
And so it was like 2 different shifts going on.
Yeah, it was 24 hours a day it was going on. Something was, things were even taken down, or we'd do a quick show or whatever we had to do, and then right back into ripping the place out. And
yep, a lot of years was nonstop.
Yeah.
Just because of Starlight Express ruining the stage where was a beautiful stage for when Elvis was here.
Yeah.
Wood. And then once that was in here, then took a long time to get it back into a regular stage.
Yep. Or somewhat similar one. It wasn't truly one, but in the book I talk about that, what it took. And I do almost like well, at this time of the day, this crew came in to work, and then we would come in to do this, and then and how it had to, and like I told people, it had to go perfect because Barry had an opening date. Yep. And you work. Barry wants to open on this date. He wants 3 weeks of rehearsals, and that gives us this much time before rehearsals start to have everything done. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Taking down sections and chopping it up, throwing it out the back door. I had crews out there. Those are great times, man. I look back on that and go, man, that was so much fun doing that. It was a lot of work. But we did the 12. I wouldn't do the 16s like everyone was like, oh, let's do 16s. No, 12s.
Yeah, yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
You need time to sleep, otherwise you start making more mistakes than it's worth.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing, is telling people, no, 12 hours is enough. You're going to make more money. You can never imagine that, but you're not going to be exhausted. You're not going to be, and when you get to the point you say, I need a day off, or, I need a couple of days, I got to get out of here. Tell me. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
No harm, no foul on that, because if you're tired, you're tired. I don't want you here if you're so tired or exhausted,
Yeah, can't think right.
You can't think straight, because this has to move. It's got to be nonstop. Go, 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 go. 24 hours a day, 3 different crews or 2 different crews on each, 2 different electric crews, 2 different carpenter crews. I mean, nonstop. It's like 60-something people
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
rolling in and out. But it got open on time, on budget, everything.
Yeah. It was a fun run there. It was. Yep.
And then rehearsals. That's like I tell people, oh, we're doing 12-hour days, and then the days are going to get long. What do you mean? Well, rehearsals start. Rehearsals go until Barry says, I'm done.
Yep.
You know, so it could be he wants to do a 10-hour day or a 12-hour day, or he wants to do 16 or 20. Whatever he feels like, he's the boss.
Yep. Yeah. He's running the show now. Yeah. I worked his whole shift here. Then I retired in 2010, and I went to I worked Barry 2 more years at the Paris, and then I was done. Then I didn't work any more stage. And
It had enough.
yeah, yep,
Well, I don't blame you on that. That was me. You know, I got to the point I was like, I think I've done enough.
yeah. It's
But I've been doing it for 44 years too.
right. Yeah.
30 years here alone. You know,
I got 21 at Ironworker and 18 as a stagehand, so
that's enough.
that was enough.
That's enough. That's a nice little retirement. 2 pensions, Social Security. That's not bad.
Yeah, I can still golf, so it's still good. Yep, it was a very good run. I enjoyed it. Nothing better than a stagehand, though. I had totally 2 different trades, loved them both in 2 different ways, and you do miss it. You know, you look back on both. I miss it. Can't do either one,
No.
but I do. You know, fun times. I you know, there's always bad times, but I forget about those. It was a good run. I enjoyed it. You taught me a lot. You taught me everything, actually. So I appreciate that.
Well, you were a good student, and yeah, I liked that you could build because you know I was did scenic, you know, built in the shops and stuff like that, but I tell people, I said, I just draw like on a piece of paper, you know, this by this, use this steel, and do the measurements, and hand it to Ed. Come back, he'd come over a couple hours later. It's over there.
Yep.
It's all done. It's over there. What do you want to do with it now?
Yep. Yeah, that was a great thing. You would just scan me a piece of paper, some dimensions, and walk away. You wouldn't bird dog me and
No.
watch me do it.
No, not unless you needed help for something, holding something, or you know,
Yep.
because it's like you knew what you were doing, crud. I wasn't going to teach you how to do any of this. You know?
Yeah. Well, you know, like you said, there's 3 different ways to accomplish it, but you know, doesn't matter which way you do it as long as it's accomplished the right way.
As long as it's built right.
So that was I enjoyed that. 'Cause I remember somebody walk over and see if I needed any help, and you know, it's like you kind of chuckle because you already know what I was going to tell them. It's like, hey, well, if I do, you'll be the first I'll let know.
Yeah, just go away. Get away, kid! You're bothering me.
You're messing up my brain here. I'm trying to think.
Now we did some fun shows, and when we get into this episode, we'll come back and do one more episode and just talk about some of the shows that you remember that you really liked and some that you didn't care about and you know care for, because we all have those, you know, and you know there's so many more that I did enjoy. I can't think but just a few that I just really didn't enjoy doing them. You know, just the attitude of the crew that came in with them, or the you know sometimes the performer was just kind of a jerk. But I don't even talk about that too much because it's why.
Yeah.
But yeah, some good times. We'll just go through and just see if we can remember a few of these shows that we've done. And you know, obviously the big one is Barry Manilow. We did 5 years here, and then you did 2 years over there at Paris with him. You know, so that's a pretty good 7-year run. And let's see, I did 10. I did 10 years out of 20, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and his manager Gary, you know, we've talked about it a couple of times. He goes, because he came in with when Barry came in with Colony. I can't remember the name of the guy that was in charge of Colony, but Gary walked in the door one day with him, somewhere 6 years ago or something like that, and I see both of them. I walk up and go, "Oh, so does this mean something? Are we? Is Barry coming back? Are we doing another run?" And they were like, "Well, anything is possible." I was like, "Oh, it's going to be good to have you back," And 6 months later, they announced he's coming back, and I was like, "Good." I've enjoyed it. I did 673 shows with Barry. 673 times of hearing Copacabana in a show.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Oh boy, yeah. His show was the same over here as at Paris.
Yeah.
Same show, same.
The man is a major performer, man. He still blows me away on what that guy can do, and just keeps going and going and going. It's like, good grief, man. 81 years old. 81.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm 73 and I'm having a rough go. So.
Yeah. And I've told him that. I said, you're moving around and doing. I said, Barry, you're like moving around better now than you did when you left here. In 2010 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yep.
I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something right. I got to figure that one out. So, anyways, we'll call that at the end of this show, and we'll come back with another one and just talk a little bit about a few of the shows that you're doing, and since what you've done besides golf, since you got out of being a stagehand, and not a whole lot to do after retiring from this business. But anyhow, David, take it away.
This is the Craig L. Hayes Show.
Oh yeah, I could talk about some shit. Well, how about that girl?